Hi you guys. In this video I'm going to rebuild a DRLA 36H Dellorto carby. It is a carby that was commonly used in the old days for blow-through turbo conversions, which is what I'm going to use it for. And they're very similar to the Weber downdraft carbs, the twin downdraft carbs as you saw on the Porsches and on VWs, you know, the IDF carby that they used. And also it's very similar to the Impy. Solex also made a downdraft, a twin downdraft. I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, I've got the carby here. Let's see what it looks like. So this is the carby. It's on its manifold and on its boost box. How I received it from the guy that I purchased it from. It's actually in quite a good condition. No idea what it looks like inside. So I'm going to strip it down and see what we have. So I wanted to show you guys this. See, it says Dellorto on there. So this was made by a company back in the day, and they did these conversions on these cars, and they still had factory warranty with these conversions on. This one came from a 4Y, so it was probably in a old Dellorto Hilux or a Dellorto High Ace. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. Taking the top off, it's got quite nice bolts. It was obviously custom made to hold the boost box on top of the carby, and you can see this one differs from the normal carbies. There's another conversion available that makes these jets a bit longer. I'll see if I get a hold of those to do that conversion on this carby, especially on the idle jets. They tend to clog and give you hassles. So anyway, I just wanted to show this. From here on, I'll strip the carby and explain what I do. So when I get the carby's top off, just to see what it looks like inside, very inquisitive to see. But all in all, the carb looks like it's in a fantastic condition. With anything that you do, have a tub close by where you can put everything in that you take off. When you put it together, the tub must be empty. If it's not, you've forgotten something. It helps me. And also, when you work on multiple carbs like I do sometimes, you know that the right spares go back into the right carby. So once I've taken it apart, I took the top off, I noticed that the float is not really going to close on the needle and seat, and I can see that's extremely bent. But you can see where the old fuel level was for a long time. So that float was sitting like that for a long time. You can see the fuel mark on it there. So someone has opened this, and when they put it together, they probably got this hooked on the body and bent that. But that's nothing. All in all, it's in very good condition. Let's get these main jets out. That's the choke spring. And see what they look like. A little bit of residue on them, but they look alright. Get these idle jets out. Also very good condition. There's an O-ring. I must replace the O-ring, obviously. That O-ring is rock hard. You'll notice I've got the carby on two pieces of wood, because the accelerator mechanism sits proud of the base of the carb. So if I put it flat, I can damage it. Don't want to do that, obviously. So I've cut those two pieces away just to put it down on. Pull these pump jets out. Also very good condition. I want to pull these auxiliary ventures to be able to clean them up. There's a conversion available for them. I'm hoping it's available here in South Africa. But if not, these will do. You obviously have to take the pump jet out first before you can get this out. And then the normal venturi sits below it. These are all numbered. Interestingly, it's a 23 venturi. It's actually very small for a 3-way engine. I'm definitely going to go bigger on those. So in here, there's two non-return plungers for the accelerator pump. They're very important. So let's open them. And that's what they look like. I'm actually going to put it back. I want to do a little test. I'm going to replace that. I just want to see if there's any life in it. No. That's why we service carbs. See, below each plunger, there's the little non-return ball. See? I remove the diaphragm. This carby actually has this little name tag left. I haven't seen any of these name tags on all the carbs that I've done in years. Now once you've got that out and loose, just pull that little pin there and the shaft will come out. And it doesn't. I'm going to have to undo there. Alright. So I've cleaned the carb body quite good. And in the meantime, I found this carb kit in Joburg. It's not the turbo one, but it's okay. But it's actually a kit for 2 carbs. So I'll have 2 needle and seats, plenty of those gaskets, 2 sets of accelerator pump, 2 sets of those, and a lot of O-rings, which is fine. So I'll have spare. It's not a problem. So I'm in a position to start assembly. So let's get cracking. So in the bottom of the carby, there's this non-return valve for the accelerator pump. It's got a little ball in there. And this O-ring is rock hard. See there? So time for a new one. And then we'll put it in place. It goes way in the bottom there. And give it a little nip. I want to focus on getting this together, accelerator pump, so I can test it and make sure everything works. So we need to put the accelerator mechanism back. Easy way to get this back in is just accelerate a little bit, and then it'll hook in like that. And then we need to put the little pin through. I'll do that quickly. Get it from this side. Oops. Anyway, got the pin through. Now we need to do the rest. So on the old one, the spring clips over the diaphragm over there. So we need to just get it on there. I don't think it's going to stick. It doesn't matter. Get that in place. That little slot, oops, that little slot needs to line up with that little pin, like that. That slot needs to line up with that pin with the spring at the bottom. I actually think I'll do it this way around. So let's try that again. Spring needs to go there, and this diaphragm needs to go in there with that slot lined up like that. Now we just need to do that with a spring in place. Something like that. I just want to have a look, make sure the spring is actually up straight, and it's not. Now it is. There we go. It's a little fiddly, but it can be done. So I've tightened up the 4 screws. I'm not going to make any adjustment here now. I'll leave it the way that I've found it. I'll do some adjustment when we do the setup on the vehicle itself. I'm going to leave that like that. But I want to see if this pump works. So I want to put the Venturis in, put the spray jets in, put some fuel in there, and accelerate and see what it does. Let me do that quickly. Let me slide those in. Like I said, I'm possibly gonna, just need to clean them, possibly gonna need bigger ones, but because these came out like that, I'm curious to see what it does. So I'll put them back for now, test it, and if I feel, especially with the turbo on, that I need bigger ones, then I'll do that. But let me clean these up, get them in, get the spray jets in, take it from there. Venturis are in. When you put these in, just take note, there's a little dent indentation, a little drill mark there. That's got to go towards the hole, because the fuel air mixture goes through the other side to get down the barrel. So just take note of that. It's got 2 notches in there, so it can either way. But yeah, just take note of that. This is going to be towards that hole to get the fuel through. Next I'm going to put the spray jets in, the accelerator pump spray jets. Let me clean them up first. So the spray jets are in 3 parts. You get the nozzle bit with a very small hole, it sprays down. So we need to make sure that's open. A little carb cleaner, and we see it's open, so that's cool. It's got the spring, and it's got this housing bit. And they literally just push together like that. They just push together like that. Give that a bit of a clean. And then there's an O-ring. You can see how broken it is. There's an O-ring that goes around the end here. There's a little indentation there where it goes into. And then there's this little gasket, Bakelite gasket that goes over there. So this has got a flat on it. And the flat goes to the bottom. Actually, sorry, flat goes to the top, because the hole sprays down to the bottom. And then you simply just put it in. And if you don't get your flat correct, it's not going to go in. And that hole must line up. We'll tighten that in a sec. Same with this one. Give it a bit of a spray. Make sure the hole's open, and it is. Put the spring in. Put it on the housing. O-ring on. Gasket on. And again, flat points to the top. Get it in, get that lined up, and it is as simple as that. Now we just tighten that up. So for these spray nozzles to work, and for that diaphragm to work, it needs a non-return valve for the fuel coming up. And that's where these little balls go in there. This is a weight that weighs it down. It gets the fuel past it. And then these caps needs to be closed properly. Otherwise you're going to suck air there and it's not going to work. I've already put fuel in the float chamber, because I'm very curious to see if all of this is going to come together, and it will. Just lock that up nicely, make sure it's airtight, and now it must work. There we go. Took a little while to prime. Let me show you. Took a little while to prime. Sorry. That's it. Sprays beautiful. Both of them. Cool. Well done. So next we need to put these lock screws in that keep the venturis in place. There's one on each side. And we don't want to over tighten that. I've seen guys turn them so tight that they actually screw it into the inside of the venturi on the side rafts. But they don't need to be too tight. It's got to have a gasket on there. There's the gasket. I didn't get new gaskets in the kit. You can buy these separately, it doesn't matter. But there's nothing wrong with these. I'm just going to put them back. So you turn that in by hand, and then just give it a slight nip, like that. And the other side the same. Give it a slight nip, and then the caps go on. It's because it's a turbo carby. Everything needs to have a gasket on it, and those we just nip up with a spanner. That sorts that out. So it's time to put the idle and the main jets and the air jets and bits back. So the main jet, that's a special emulsion tube. They're not the same as the side raft carbs. The main jets are. I just push in at the bottom. like that, and the air jets are as well. And they just push into the emulsion tube like that. It drops in there and you just screw it tight. The idle jets also just push in like that, and but it gets an O-ring over here. So I'll just put the O-ring on and then put everything together. There's a conversion available on these carbies. Doesn't seem like it's available in South Africa, but it makes the air jets taller and it makes the idle jets taller. I've got a old buddy of mine's MP carb here that I serviced for him a long time ago, that I haven't given back to him yet, which is fortunate now. But I'll show you on them. They've got the longer jets in. I'll show you what they look like. So when you struggle to get an O-ring on, like it did just there, get yourself one of these. These are made by Mastercraft, and you can just pry it over like that. It's quite easy. You can also poke yourself with it, so be careful. There we go. So this is my buddy's MP carb, and you can see that's the main jet. Obviously this is a copy of a Weber. It's not the same as that, and the parts don't fit. But what I wanted to show you, there's the main jet at the bottom, emulsion tube, and you see how long the air jet is. They've made it extremely long. The air jet's actually in there, but they've made it extremely long. To make it poke out over here, protrudes here. This is going to be too long for the turbo application. It needs to be about half of this length. But I'll see if I can modify something or come up with something to make this work. It will be cool if I can use an arrangement like this on that carby. Because here in South Africa the jets and everything is more available. But I'll see. It's not too serious now. Something to look into for the future. So, also part of the idling circuit, it's got these two nipples. It's actually just a vacuum gauge that goes on there. One goes in there, and the other one goes in there, and each has got an O-ring on it. I've already taken the broken O-rings off. There they are. Each one gets a new O-ring, and they simply just screw in there. So when you do your air balancing, you unscrew that a little bit, just nip it, and put your vacuum gauges on there, and then you can balance your idle mixture with these two fittings. That's what they're for. So with the idle mixture screws, the whole setup actually looks like that. It's got the idle mixture screw, and it's got the spring that goes on there, and then it's got this little steel washer and the O-ring. See there? So when you clean and change these, make sure you get that little O-ring out. I've made this little hook to try and hook it out because it's way in the bottom there. This one is a bit stiff. It was nearly out. There's the little steel ring, little washer. Now I just need to get the O-ring out. I'll fish it out and then clean it out, and then show you how I put it together. So the mixture screws, to put them together, once you're done, it must look like that, and then that'll just drop in there and you screw it in. But you've got to obviously clean out the spring. These had a little bit of rust on, so I had them on the wire brush. Put the spring on, put a little steel plate over, and then the little O-ring. So what I'm going to do with these, because there was a little rust on there and it worries me, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on there and then put them together. Just a small little dab of grease, and then screw them in. I also found them to be half a turn out, so I'll leave it the same. I'll screw them in and half a turn out. I'm going to do that quickly. So literally, that's actually too much. Literally just a little bit like that. Because the fuel will stay on that side of the O-ring. This side's going to be dry, so that bit of grease will stop it from rusting, and it will also be a little bit of lubricant. Just like that. Done. So next I've got to assemble the top of the carby and then obviously put it back on the carb. I've cleaned it off a little bit. The floats is quite interesting. It comes together not with a float pin, with these screws. Obviously because of the way that it sits, you can't put a pin across, so it's got these two screws, which is very cool. The needle and seat that I took out was a rubber tipped one. I'm going to keep it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I'm installing a new one. I've got a new one, so it comes with a little gasket over there. It goes inside there, not like that, flat, yeah. And then the needle and seat. And then we nip it up. Nice and tight. Next, the gasket is going to go on. So the kit that I got hold of was not a turbo kit. You can see the turbo gasket is made out of a rubbery material, and it's laminated. It's not broken, so I'm going to keep it. If this doesn't work, I'll have one made out of different material and a little bit thicker, but I'm going to try this and hope it doesn't leak on the turbo. But I mean, if you rebuild one in South Africa, that's the gasket you're going to have, so you're just going to have to use it. Next is the floats. We put the floats back. They don't look well, but they are clean. Just give it a bit of a spray. There we go. So you put the left hand side, or this side, over first, like that, and then you've got to make sure that it hooks into your needle and seat. So get it in a needle and seat, get that pin over, and then get this side in, like that. And then it's got a little clip. That little clip, it just pushes over the back. I'm going to lock these and put the clip over, and then we'll adjust the float level. Okay, it's time to set the float level. So the float level is supposed to be with a gasket on 5 millimeters away in its normal position over there, where the fuel would make it stop. And the easiest way to do, between 5 and 6 mil, the easiest way to do it is with a 5 millimeter drill, like that. I'm going to try and hold it like that for you. It must be in its normal state, like that, and then 5 millimeters. See, this can go down a little bit more. And you continue doing that until it just touches with 5 mil. There we go. I'm happy with that. See? I'm happy with that. And you can see the lines are just about parallel at that point on the floats. So that's it, float level done. So next I want to do is to put the float back. Unfortunately, that rubber there is not included in the kit, and I'm hoping that one is going to be okay. Feels pretty soft, so that's going to go in there, and then obviously a spring to follow. And the other problem that I've got, if I can turn this like that, this seal that goes on there, that seal that runs inside there, that also does not come with a kit. That O-ring does, but that one doesn't. So what I want to do, just to put the float, this plunger in its correct position, is I'll put this together temporarily, and then once the O-ring, the O-ring is swollen, I still have it, but it's swollen. It's now bigger than what it's supposed to be. I'm gonna let it sit for a while, and if it comes right and I can put it back, then I'll put it back, which it should still seal. I'm just gonna put it on top of my drill press here to dry out. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna put this together because I need to have all of this together to put my carb top back on. So when I wanted to push this choke plunger in, it was extremely stiff. Didn't want to go, and I thought it was dropped and it had a little mark or a stain on it or something. But then what I did is I just sprayed it with a bit of carb cleaner, and it became quite easy to move in and out, which means there was residue, that old petrol residue that formed a shellac down there, that eventually got hard. So I sprayed it with good old carb cleaner. But when I put it together, I just want to put a little bit of this stuff in there, just to, if there is, because I'm not necessarily going to use this carby tomorrow, so if there is any residue left, that this will give it a bit of lubrication. I'm also not going to put that seal in here because it's swollen up. So you've got to get this piston lined up with that pin, and that little cam there goes in the groove there. So it's just a little bit of a fiddle like that, and then it works nice. See, it's nice and loose. Spring brings it back. There's no problem with it. I'm just going to put the 2 screws in for temporary, and then I'll put the rest of the carby together. So the reason I wanted to choke in so desperately is I want to put the carby top back on, and for that you have to have the spring in place. Because that squeezes in there. So to put this on, you saw it was bent previously. You've just got to hold it like that. And obviously that goes that side around. And keep the spring up straight. And make sure you don't push it. It's got to just literally fall into place. Like that. Because the minute that you squeeze it, you're going to change your float level. It's going to just literally fall in place. That's just the choke spring holding it. That's it. Now I can put my screws back in. So the last thing to do is to put the fuel fitting on. I'm possibly gonna blank that off, and I wanna do it neatly. So or I might find a different fitting for there. Because I don't like fiddly things, and I don't think I'm gonna put a return line on from here. I'll put a return line on from the fuel regulator. Unfortunately, in the kit you don't get one of these. This one is not broken, so I'm just gonna put it back in there. And you do get a little washer for there. They supply a fiber washer for here. It's over there. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use this aluminium one. I prefer it. So I'm actually just going to put this together temporarily, until I decide what I'm going to do with my fuel return. Like that. I also don't know which way I'm going to make it, which way I'm going to put it on the vehicle. So I'm just putting that on there so that I don't lose it. Yeah, that's it. So that is it. Service done on this carby. Just a few things. I'm possibly gonna make a different fitting for here. I don't really want to cut this off in case I wanna, or that one rather, in case I wanna get rid of it one day. So or I might just put a pipe on here and tee it in my fuel line somewhere for a return. Behind the fuel regulator, I might do that. So that's the one thing. I'm putting it on now temporarily because I don't want to lose it. And then something else I'm definitely going to do, not necessarily now, but there's a modification that we do on these. When I do that, I might make longer ones. When we actually machine that out and drill and tap it to put a Weber main jet, normal, where's my camera? There. To put a normal Weber main jet inside there. So we drill and tap that out. But when I do that, I'll make 4 of them, because there's my set of side rafts behind me for my van. I want to do it to that as well, because these jets you get just about everywhere, and I sell them, but you can buy them just about everywhere, and they come in all kinds of sizes, and they're not too expensive, these jets, where these are fairly expensive. So when you start playing around, it makes sense to have a cheaper jet, because to get to the right jetting, you might change 4 or 5 jets until you get your fuel mixtures and stuff right. So, but I'll do this, if I do this modification, I'll probably do that. I'll do a separate video on that. Anyway, I hope this helps someone. Be safe out there.